Sai Deepak.
With all due respect to Mr. Sanjay Hegde, I think his position is rife with populism and factual inaccuracies, and I'm sorry to say that he's just put on stark display his ignorance of how the law functions as far as this area is concerned. Because SGPC Act certainly exists, but what Mr. Hegde is certainly not aware of is that the SGPC Act specifically refers to a process of election of the members who govern that particular body, as opposed to the process of appointment that happens in Jagannath Puri Mandir or Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam or any number of institutions. So there is a clear distinction between election as a process and appointment by the state government, which clearly shows that the existence of legislation itself is not sufficient. So that's point number one, where I think Mr. Hegde has got it really wrong. Point number one. Point number two, the assumption that the moment this comes back to the community, it leads to untouchability and, let's say, prohibition on entry of untouchables. I'm sorry to say, is Mr. Hegde not aware of any number of private temples which are in the country today, and are all these private temples practicing untouchability? Is that the argument that he wishes to present? And three, untouchability under Article 17 is a constitutional provision which no legislation can overturn. So merely because we are asking for community to control its temples, it doesn't mean that all sorts of practices will come back. To say that the community is incapable of managing its institutions without observing untouchability is to actually brand the entire Hindu community as a casteist community. I'm so sorry, what kind of an argument is he making? And point number three, how can you even compare Sabarimala, which is a very different issue, from this particular issue? Do you understand the fact that Sabarimala is a very different issue with respect to a very specific religious practice which has got nothing to do with secular aspects of administration? Is that the issue that is being discussed here today? The issue that is being discussed is with respect to secular aspects of administration. Should the state have control over it, or should the community have control over it? Please highlight to me which church has been taken over by the state citing corruption, when there are any number of cases which abound with respect to corruption in church ecosystem. Which mosque has been taken over by the state, so to speak, to show that there is malfeasance in administration, therefore the state must take over. So let us not muddle facts here. If we don't know what we are talking about on a particular subject, it's always better to maintain a dignified silence as opposed to exposing our ignorance on what exactly the law says on these issues. And I don't think he's actually read the HRC Act as far as the Tamil Nadu government is concerned, the TNHRC Act of 1959. There are specific provisions which prevent untouchability from coming back. So nobody is asking for those provisions to be taken away. We are only saying that those aspects of the provisions which give a big brotherly position to the state to preside over all aspects of these institutions must go. And nobody is saying that the state does not have the power to set the house in order in terms of corruption. But the state cannot be a permanent tenant.
Yes.
The state cannot sit there for eternity. That is the limited position. If it is the state's position that it has not been able to set the house in order, and if it's not been able to rectify corruption, that is because the state is fundamentally corrupt, and the state has actually worsened situations of corruption in most of these institutions, and it has degraded the entire temple ecosystem to the extent that idols and murtis and jewels are constantly stolen. The Madras High Court actually has come out with a judgment clearly showing that state officials, HRC officials, along with state police officials, were hand in glove with smugglers of idols and jewels. This is the status of the temple ecosystem under the government administration. I'm sorry, this position really needs no rebuttal because it's not rooted in fact. These are the facts, and these facts are publicly recorded. I think Mr. Hegde should read up his law on the subject.
No, there are several things we can go on through the night. But shortly put, do you know how many years it has taken for a non-Brahmin priest to finally preside over rituals in Tamil Nadu? It has happened now, after Stalin got re-elected.
I need to respond to that.
As a practicing Hindu who would know every ritual, every mantra, if he cannot become a priest in a temple today, then what kind of...
So you're contradicting yourself.
Please.
You're contradicting yourself, sir.
Scheme is.
Okay.
You are not going to tell me that there is Hinduism which will only survive provided that one set of people continue to do priestly duties.
Oh, please.
This is terrible. This is what an argument. Facts fly in his face.
Now, just 1 minute. I can see three of you all very well high-born laughing at it. But let me put it to you, what the vast majority of Hindus feel. Who
are you to represent the vast majority of Hindus? What gives you the position to say that? Are you an elected representative? Have you taken a popular poll?
I did not interrupt you.
Please don't grandstand on behalf of Hindus. You're not a representative of Hindus.
Okay, so what's the point, Mr. Hegde? What's the point you're making?
In the Udupi temple where I come from, there is even today segregated dining caste-wise. Do not tell me that you have that any one sect of people within the community has the right to organize community resources based on worship, on a common worship of a common deity, and yet practice such exclusion.
Okay.
This is not Hinduism.
Not Hinduism. Okay, so we now have Sanjay Hegde that is moved away from the legal point to tell us what Hinduism should be, ought to be, how it should be practiced. Okay, that's fine. You know, we can have that argument, and they are having that argument tonight, viewers, somewhere in America on some digital channel about what they perceive to be Hindutva, Hinduism, and how they want to dismantle it. So that's a different conversation. But I want to bring in Sai Deepak very quickly. Sai Deepak, some of the propositions that Mr. Hegde has made here.
The first point that Mr. Hegde doesn't highlight is that out of close to, let's say, 3 lakh temples in Tamil Nadu, less than 6,000 temples actually have Brahmin priests. So this constant bogey of Brahmin domination that he keeps touting over and over again is a Marxist trope that all of us have to suffer on a regular basis, which has absolutely no basis in facts. Because my Kuladevata, so to speak, is worshipped by a non-Brahmin priest, and I have to actually offer toddy and meat. So this is the diversity of this land, which unfortunately these Marxists and communists have absolutely no clue about in the first place. Point number 2, when the question of corruption is being addressed, when the question of secular administration is being addressed, what on earth is this particular point and what is its relevance with respect to this particular issue? Is it not possible for the state to legislate on this particular aspect and give the control of the institution back to the community?
Absolutely.
Are we basically saying that we can't? So this is an issue that he never addresses. Why do we have to suffer the state on a permanent basis?
And if there is an evil, it should stand remedied, and either the state takes a position on it and pushes through legislation or perhaps even a law, etc., to forbid any evil. I don't understand how that evil is going to be restored by submitting to its own authority the management of a temple. Clearly, we're not doing a good job if that particular process still, or that evil still exists.
Just
Dr.
one
Ranganath.
more point, please. Just one more point.
Yeah, okay.
Just one more point.
Okay, one more point. Okay, one more point. Okay, Sai Deepak, yes.
Mr. Hegde should simply take a look at the composition of the trust under the TNHRC Act. It encompasses all castes, and those provisions have not been challenged in the court for the simple reason that nobody is basically saying that all caste representation should be forbidden under the law as far as the temple is concerned. That is the problem when people don't read either legislation or the petition.
Dr. Ranganath.
Yeah, good evening, Rahul. That was a fantastic discussion, but I have to start by saying that the government control of Hindu temples is the modern day pillaging and loot. And you could earlier blame Khilji for it or invaders for it. But today, I'm afraid the invaders and those who are pillaging and looting the Hindu temples are actually Hindu. Now, let me put forth 3 or 4 points, but before that, I must congratulate Sai Deepak for a complete demolition, and I'm sure Mr. Hegde won't mind because he was really ill-prepared. All his points have been sufficiently answered, more than that, in fact. But let me add to that a couple of more points. You know, when Mr. Hegde rightfully, proudly says, like all of us should do, that we are a secular state. What business does a secular state, a secular government have meddling in religion or the other way around? Now, when he says that the state is removing the discrimination that is present in Hinduism through its control, would we also like the state to say that in Christianity, in Catholic, you should have women as priests? But that doesn't happen, does it? Would he also like to say that why was it that the Kerala High Court threw out a petition that said women should be allowed in the sanctum sanctorum of all mosques? Those petitions are thrown out. You can't have double standards. And in the case of Sabrimala, as J. Sai Deepak has already illustrated beautifully, it was not discrimination, it was perceived discrimination. There are temples where Hindu men are not allowed. This was a different case altogether, and this is just one Sabrimala temple. But more than, above and beyond that, I mean, we are having a wonderful discussion. This is not some, I don't have any anger towards anyone. It's a wonderful discussion, and I'm enjoying it because we have 2 lawyers here. Rahul, you and I are outsiders who are enjoying this. But I have to say this, that, for 50 years, since 1959, when the Congress government overturned the Supreme Court judgment and brought in the endowment, first of all, as Sai Deepak rightly put it, yes, the government wants to control all religions, but look at the extent of it. The Endowments Act is absolutely not comparable to SGPC Act, as Sai Deepak has already said. I mean, is the Jama Masjid controlled by the government? No, it's not. There are 100,000 Hindu temples that are directly controlled. If you look at Somnath, for example, Rahul, Somnath Board of Trustees, 4 are appointed by the state government, 4 are appointed by the central government. The Hindus have no say at all. Right now, Prime Minister is the executive, the Board of Trustees. Then you have Mr. Amit Shah, Mr. L.K. Advani. They're all politicians. They've all got in through government appointments. Where are the Hindus? They are the people who are running these temples. The Tirupati is one of the richest temples in the world. And, when Mr. Hegde rightfully, in his right mind, said that the government's job is to take care of the temple, to preserve it. Last year, exactly 1 year has gone by when the Tamil Nadu government told the Madras High Court, I'm quoting the Tamil Nadu government, 11,000 Hindu temples in Tamil Nadu do not have enough money to perform even one puja. Yes. That's it. Do you know if Tirupati was let loose by the government control, it has the money that is equivalent to the GDP of a small country. Tirupati alone can give money to at least these 11,000 temples so they can actually at least run. The priests can be given money. So there is discrimination. Nobody is doubting it. But again, I come back to this. When the Congress could overturn a 1959 Supreme Court judgment and for 40 years it controlled the temple, okay, you can blame the Congress. But for the last 7 years, you don't have the Congress doing. We have BJP, supposedly Hindutva vanguard, Hindu government. What is it doing? If it can overturn the SC Act, the judgment by the Supreme Court, why can it not overturn a Congress overturn of a Supreme Court judgment? That would be helping the Supreme Court, isn't it? That won't be like the Congress that overturned the Shah Bano judgment of Supreme Court. This would be helping the Supreme Court. But no, BJP is controlling even more temples. We had the Uttarakhand example. We have Karnataka. We have Maharashtra. So this is a collective. This is a politician collective, Rahul. They've all decided that this is the holy cow, quote unquote. Hindus are gullible. Let us loot this. And with that money, let us now, on the other hand, put the Hindus on a guilt trip. Every time people talk about Hajj subsidy, which incidentally a Supreme Court judgment says should be stopped, the Muslims all immediately say, what about Kumbh Mela? Are bhai, you are looting billions from Hindu temples. Kumbh Mela, the population is 200 million people who attend Kumbh Mela. You don't even want the security state to provide the security for Kumbh Mela. So, there is prejudice and it has to go. This is not justice.
Well,
and I have an atheist who says